Welcome to the Opening Bid podcast. I'm Yahoo Finance Executive Editor Brian Sozzi. Of course, Opening Bid is sponsored by Vanguard. You're going to get a lot smarter on all things technology and AI because I got a very special guest here that it's coming to me at the NASDAQ in Times Square on a very special moment for his company. That's Qualcomm President and CEO Cristiano Amon. Good to see you.
Good to see you, Brian.
It's been a while, and we're here at the NASDAQ, 40 years since Qualcomm was found. How is that even possible?
Times went fast, and it goes fast if you're busy.
So what are some of those? I mean, you started the company 30 years ago.
Yes, 1995.
As an engineer. What are some of the, I guess, the historical fun facts about Qualcomm that the average human may not know?
Well, it's hard to answer the question. There's so many different things, but I will highlight. I joined in 1995. Right before the very first launch of a CDMA operator in the world. A couple of things on this journey. I think it's a journey of a company always kind of fighting against the odds, try to prove everybody that the technologies that we dream of, they work, they would change the world. I remember when I started, nobody believed CDMA. We had to build our own infrastructure, we had to build our own phones, we had to build everything to prove it, take it all over the world to show that that technology is incredible. I remember when 3G moved to 4G, everybody said Qualcomm is gone because we're going to go from CDMA to OFDMA, and we have to prove everybody we're the OFDMA leader in the industry. Phones were becoming computer. We had, from a wireless communication company, no computing technology. We ended up building the very first processor, a company that had built no processors, the very first processor that could run an OS and had a clock at 1 gigahertz speed that fits in the palm of your hand. And that was the beginning of our journey towards what Snapdragon is today. We were, through the spirit, we realized our technology could be disruptive to so many industries. People told us, you can never be an auto company unless you buy somebody. And look at where we are in auto. Somebody said, you can't go to PC market. That's a market that's already occupied by incumbents that never be displaced. Here's where we entered the PC market. And now we're on this journey on AI and industrial data center. So those 40 years, it's been the story of reinventing ourselves, come up with technology to prove to people it's better, it's going to work, and just executing against all odds. That's the company in 40 years.
What I didn't realize, I'm a bit of a corporate name geek, I never realized, all these years of covering your company and some of your predecessors at the company, it stands for Quality Communications. The company was founded by Irwin Jacobs.
Yes.
And was focused on quality communications.
We build quality stuff. I was just reminding people, it's interesting. I have to, sometimes people ask me about the Qualcomm name, that it means quality communication. And I thought, wow, I have the best example ever to describe what that actually means. You probably remember when there were the Mars Ingenuity helicopter, the NASA mission, that you have the very first flight in an atmosphere in a different planet, the Mars Ingenuity helicopter. The Mars Ingenuity helicopter, the whole helicopter, when NASA had this mission, runs on Snapdragon. And it came out of the rover, start flying around, there's flight control, it has cameras, it has communication sending radio signals. The beauty of this whole project with NASA is the same Snapdragon that were on people's phones. Like the one that we build hundreds of millions. And the thing is, if you put that into that, you go to the rocket in extreme temperature, pressure, you go to a different planet, you have to boot and work. And he has no option. He has to work. It's just one. So I cannot think of anything better to describe. We build quality stuff. This is quality communications at work.
So it's the end of May, and I'm watching the news, of course, on Yahoo Finance, and then I see you shaking hands with the Crown Prince. The president is standing next to the Crown Prince. You're in Saudi Arabia as part of that delegation. I'm like, I know that guy. It's Cristiano. We used to talk to him. He was the president of Qualcomm beforehand, or just before you became CEO. And that, before we get into why you were there, that had to be a surreal moment.
Oh, it was
as
a surreal moment.
As someone that started as an engineer, to be there in that moment, what was that like?
The whole thing for me. Look, I'm incredibly proud, and I feel, privileged to have the trust of, from our board, our investors, and most importantly, like all the Qualcomm employees to lead this company. when I joined Qualcomm as an engineer, I never had any dreams I'll be a CEO. Never expected that we will be relevant in an important partner, so many industries, so many countries. It's incredible. At the same time, it comes with a huge pressure that, there's so many folks at Qualcomm that's counting on me that, I have to show up every day and do my best because I cannot disappoint that trust. But yes, it's incredible. I never expected. It's really humbling, and that was a great moment for me.
So what did Qualcomm secure from that trip?
Look, as you know, we just released a little bit of some, I would say, data points. They're showing what we're doing next on a diversification journey, and we're entering the data center space. We feel that's massive opportunity, is this massive TAM. It's going to grow for decades, and I think we have some technology that is very unique and disruptive. We have proven that we can probably do one of the world's best CPUs, and when AI starts to go from creation in those data centers into scale, production. We develop AI as an industry for that to be used in every computer. When you go to that moment that it scales, performance per watt, performance per dollar matter, and that's kind of the DNA that we have from building the devices at the edge. So when we look at the data center opportunity, we can build CPUs, we can build inference AI processors for the data center. There's this new company in Saudi called Humane, which is incredibly disruptive. It's a big countrywide project to start diversifying their economy. I feel like in the same way about what they're trying to do, what Qualcomm's trying to do, we're trying to diversify and create new areas of growth and development. We're betting on them, they're betting on Qualcomm. So what we announced in that trip, it was a combination of very strategic projects, and it kind of matches some of the initiatives we have for growth and diversification. The first one is our activity now entering the data center space, and we're going to build chips for the Humane data center. That's one, with their new Saudi AI company called Humane. The second one is we've been talking about the industrial transformation at the edge, the next industrial semis in the age of AI. So we have a very broad partnership with Aramco, which is one of the world's largest energy companies, using AI at the edge to transform their operations. Very exciting project that we have there. The number three, as we enter in the PC space, they're building very interesting PCs for their market. They have their large language model called helm that they develop, which is going to be the front end in Arabic for all of the different applications. And they wanted to connect those PCs with their data center, offer inference as a service. That's going to be part of what we actually been talking about, which is this change of a PC into an AI device. So those are some of the three major projects. There's more, I think, that we're doing in Saudi Arabia. That was a very successful trip for us.
We saw a lot of big numbers, not just from your company, a lot of companies that went there, NVIDIA, AMD went there. What does that Saudi Arabia opportunity mean longer term financially to a business like Qualcomm?
Look, if you step back, we said between now and 2029, we're going to be generate about $22 billion of, our goal is when we get to fiscal 29, we'll have $22 billion of non-handset revenue, which is all of those growth initiatives actually coming to scale, and we're going to be a diversified company at that point in time. The stuff that we're doing in the data center is not included in that number. That's an upside to that number. We have a long-term commitment in Saudi Arabia. I saw that yesterday they kind of indicated a $2 billion, I think, commitment to Qualcomm. But that's just the beginning. I think we've been building products for the data centers. That's incremental to our plan. What we're doing in PCs, what we're doing over Aramco, is part of our $22 billion plan. You should look at this as more certainty and data points on this trajectory that we are to diversify the company and achieve our $22 billion in non-handsets by fiscal 29.
All right, hang with us, Cristiano. We're going to go off for a quick break. We'll be right back on Opening Bid. All right, welcome back to Opening Bid here at the NASDAQ in Times Square, having a great chat here with Qualcomm CEO Cristiano Amon. So the data center push, there's an AMD in there, there's an Intel, and if I'm right, didn't Qualcomm try data centers in the past? Like, how do you make this successful this time?
Yes, so it's a great point, and maybe there are two answers. Let me start with the first one, easy. It is a market that has a number of incredible players. Like on CPU, you have AMD, you have Intel, you have ARM indicated that they're going to build a chip enter into the data center. You have some of the companies that have been building a lot of the custom CPU. My answer to you is the same answer I provided before when people ask me about PCs. PCs is a market actually, unlike the data center, doesn't grow as much. Data center is growing a lot. It's a very big TAM. But in PCs, people said there's a lot of established players. Are you going to enter? And the answer is, if I have something that is disruptive, it is unique, it's innovative, and it will add value, there's going to be room for me. And I think that's what we did with Snapdragon X Elite. I applied the same approach when you think about data center. Actually, data center, unlike PC, is a massive TAM, will continue to grow at a very high growth rates for decades. If we can build something unique and disruptive, there's room for Qualcomm. Now, the second part of the answer is our journey. We started, if you remember, we were the first company to start to build an ARM-compatible CPU for the data center. And we did way before everybody else, and I'll be honest, we were a little early at the time for the opportunity. What happened when we attempted to do that, there were two obstacles. One obstacle is the software ecosystem wasn't mature. At that time, the data center opportunity was a general purpose computing that needs to run everything that is on the cloud, which has been built on x86, and the ARM ecosystem wasn't ready at all at that time. It was not until companies like Amazon, with their Graviton program, that actually did a lot of the heavy lifting to bring the ARM ecosystem on board. That didn't exist at the time, so that was very limiting on the addressable market. The other reason at the time is the entire industry was looking for alternative to the incumbent. It was Intel that the incumbent on the data center. Then something happened. AMD started to use a better transistor going to TSMC, and that become the alternative to Intel, and the ARM plan, got pushed aside. So I think we were a little early. We learned a bunch of things to the process. We're early. We focused the company on putting a plan in place to build growth and diversification in those markets we're doing right now. As we get those things in motion and they're being in the process of execution, create this opportunity for us now to enter at the right time. Why is now the right time? And I think that's a more interesting answer to the question. First, the nature of the data center is changing. You still have general purpose computing, but now ARM is where the growth is with a much more mature software ecosystem. We check that box. The second thing is data centers are being built for AI. Every time you build data centers with incredible, I think, NVIDIA GPUs used for training, you need CPUs that go alongside, and you have a lot of custom activity. So that's a different approach than what the CPU job was. It's very focused, and it's very focused on performance per dollar, performance per watt. That's kind of our DNA. The other thing is the opportunity for inference as AI gets scale. It needs to be economic. It needs to compete. You look how people start talking about tokens per dollar and why tokens per dollar starts to move to the Middle East because energy is cheaper there. When there is performance per dollars and performance per watt, it creates an opportunity for Qualcomm. We'll look at those things. We'll look at our assets. We have proven to have one of the best CPU teams in the world. What we did in just phones and auto and PCs, we can build a great CPU. If you believe, companies are going to build ARM chiplets like ARM's saying they're going to do themselves. If you believe those companies can do it and there's an opportunity, Qualcomm can do it. We're a real chip company. We ship 40 billion components a year, and we have a great CPU. That's opportunity. And AI is going to get so much scale, and it's going to be interesting.
A large part of your business is, of course, China. About 45, 46% of your business. When you're on that trip in Saudi Arabia, are you able to get a minute or two with the president and explain, hey, we're a U.S. company, we have this big business in China, and then secondarily, has your strategy changed because of the trade war?
Look, this is, I actually love answering this question, and you're probably going to hear in this interview something different than what I've been saying before.
What news person doesn't like different?
Yes.
Fire away, Cristiano.
Yes. I'm actually going to explain something a little different than I have been talking about it before. The fact that we're very successful in China, think about it this way. The fact that we're very successful in China is a feature. It's not a bug, it's a feature. And the reason I say that is because we move at the speed of China. If you look at what happened in the transformation of many industries in China, we have been there and we have not only survived, we thrive. That means we can be competitive in China. It's one of the most competitive markets in the world. We can be competitive in China. We move at China's speed. That's a feature. You want an American company that is going to be providing technology for the world to be extremely competitive and be able to win everywhere with innovation, not only in the US, not only in Europe, not only in Korea, in Japan, but everywhere, including China. That's the first part. The second part is the reason we have a big business in China is because what we do matters. If you are, and that's true for the entire semi-industry, for companies that are building not commodity but leading technology. It's true for NVIDIA, it's true for Qualcomm, it's true for all of the other semiconductor companies. If what you're doing is innovative, it's just a function of GDP size, you're going to have a big business everywhere, you're going to have a big business in China. Number three, we're a company that is actually helping the trade deficit. We export semiconductors. Actually, what we're doing is in the right direction of trade. High-value semiconductors that have been exported to China in the right direction of trade. And then the last point is you want to end up in a situation that the American technology is exactly winning at the world scale. We wanted to be in a situation that is American technology for the world. That drives our innovation economy, that gives us scale, that we continue to invest and actually support and partner with all of the companies that are going to be needing our technology for years to come. When you look at this whole package, I think we're very proud, of the business we have in China. And I think in the many discussions we've been having with the administration, I think, like I said before, it's good to actually have American technology in a way that it can win in the markets worldwide, including China, and be in the right direction of trade, supporting our innovation engine. And it's a technology that is developed in the United States. And as a matter of fact, because you've been covering us for a while, we have one of the world's largest licensing business. And actually, we get paid in China by all of our customers for intellectual property. That's another great thing. So I think, in summary, we want to put ourselves in a position that we can actually be an example what a successful cooperation and trade between two countries are, and I think that's what we'll continue to do.
I'd love to end on this, Cristiano. For as long as I've talked to you, you've always been focused on diversification. And part of that, I would think, is because of the Apple business. Of course, you make key player a long time in the Apple supply chain. But now, I think the stat was from Evercore. You're about to see, you may have 70% market share in the iPhone 17. That might continue to decrease. Is there a day when Qualcomm's not involved in the Apple ecosystem because they make their own chips?
Look, we have been incredibly transparent about this. And every time we have a contract with Apple, we made it very public where they are. So there is no guessing, right? So we had said, and I think we provide.
You do a very good job of doing this.
Thank you.
Has always been very transparent.
Yeah, thank you. So what we said is, in the iPhones they launch this year, we expected. I think we indicated we expected to have about 70% share. If I believe that's the metric we provided. Then we said in the iPhones launching next year, we expect to have about. I believe the metric was 20% share.
Yeah,
20% share, and then we don't expect it to be in the iPhones launching 27. That's our contract, and if we don't get a new contract, that's what it is. And there's so much drama and association about the Apple relationship, which I think it's not warranted. To be honest, we're a great supplier for Apple. We provide a modem. Our contract has a beginning, has a middle, has an end. We communicated what it is. Apple's doing their own modem. We're planning our business assuming that they are going to use their own modem. And what exciting thing about the company is all of this growth that we're creating, all of those other markets, including on Android. Like if you look at our Android business, it's continued to grow. I think our customers are doing incredibly well. The China market dynamics, when you look at share, about what Android is doing in the premium tier, it's a great dynamic for Qualcomm, and we'll continue to build great technologies. I think the Apple thing is, we have a contract, we communicated with the end, that's how we're planning our business. The Apple's going to be off the model 27. We're focused on everything else above that is upside.
Fair to say that the next 40 years with Qualcomm will look different than the prior 40?
Oh, absolutely. I cannot tell you 1 year of Qualcomm that is the same as the past year, and I think that's what makes the company exciting.
All right, we'll leave it there. Always good to see you. Qualcomm President and CEO Cristiano Amon here at the NASDAQ in Times Square. Appreciate you coming on the pod.
Thank you, Brian.
All right, and that's it for the latest episode of Opening Bid. Continue to hit us with all those hearts and thumbs up on YouTube and all the podcast platforms. Appreciate the love, appreciate the feedback, and we'll talk to you soon.